Hello, my name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. I'm at the beginning of a no-buy year, which means I'm going all of the year of 2018 without purchasing any new makeup, skincare, clothing, or homewares. My no-buy year. I'll throw up in the cards the intro video to my channel where I talk in depth about my no-buy year and about the rules. So this video is the first in a series called What I'm Starting With. This one is What I'm Starting With Eyeshadows. I'm going to go through my entire eyeshadow collection and show you every single shred of eyeshadow, every single crumb of eyeshadow that I have in my possession. And I'm basically going to be getting through the year using only these eyeshadows. I am obsessed with makeup. I have a problem. Do I have a problem? I never thought I would be this into makeup, and it's kind of a new obsession for me, comparatively new. I really started getting into makeup basically right after the recent election. It was sort of a defense mechanism. I needed something to distract myself. I thought it was going to be a short-term thing. I thought I would just be into makeup for a couple of months after the election, and then I would kind of wake up from it and go about maybe with a couple more eyeshadow palettes than I started with and, you know, go back to my normal self. But no, it lasted and lasted, and I've been buying makeup at a rapid rate of speed for the entire year of 2017. And my shadow collection, it's probably well over 10 times the size that it was in 2016. Granted, it was small. I was a normal woman. I was a normal girl. And now look at me. To me, my collection seems huge, but compared to a lot of content creators here on YouTube, and I think probably compared to a lot of makeup beauty community viewers here on YouTube, my collection is potentially relatively small. I just want to go ahead and say that just because I'm doing a no-buy year, and just because I feel like my collection is large for me, that doesn't mean that I think that larger eyeshadow collections are out of control or don't make any sense. I think that all of us should have the amount of stuff that makes us personally happy. I think whether we're in touch with what actually makes us happy or not is another question. And I do encourage you to think about, especially if you are truly obsessed with makeup and you have, you know, piles and piles like I do. If you've never really stopped to think about whether it actually makes you happy, I do encourage you to think about that. That's one of the things that led me to my no-buy year. I know that buying makeup makes me happy in the moment. I get that rush, that excitement of something new, that feeling of owning something precious. That happiness is real, that joy is real. I support that. I'm not a monk. I don't think you should be one either, unless you want to be a monk. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a monk. Monks are awesome. So for example, for me, if I run out of money and then I start going into debt, there's like an underlying rot in my sense of well-being that it's not worth the trade for the daily excitement of having a new eyeshadow palette. But it's taken me a long time to say that out loud. It's one thing to know it's true, and it's another thing to stop buying eyeshadow. So it's taken me a long time to admit it to myself, to the point where it has become actionable, and then this no-buy year is the action that I'm taking. So this is all just to say, backtracking way back to before monks are great, or whatever I said about monks. If having a huge eyeshadow collection makes you happy, and you can afford it, and there's no dirty underside in your life and in your heart, then collect all the freaking eyeshadow. I mean, have the collection. I really support you. I really love that. I think it's awesome when people find something that they're passionate about and they collect it and it gives them good feelings. In addition to not wanting to go into debt, I also have kind of a minimalist streak in me, and I know that even if I could afford it, having 100 eyeshadow palettes might not actually make me happy. It might not actually be what I want. I really like to have a small, dense collection of things that I love intensely and that I use. So for me, it's not just about money, it's also about a curated collection being the thing that makes me happy. So that's part of why this collection is the size, the right size for me. The first, I think, real eyeshadow palette that I had was and I don't even have it anymore, so I can't show it to you, but it was the Too Faced Natural Eyes, one of their 9-pan palettes. It used to be in the little cardboard and now it's in the little tin. I'll try to throw a picture up or at least paste it down below or something. But I had the one that was Natural Eyes, and I loved that thing. I loved it. And it came with these little demonstration cards showing how to apply the shadows. There was like a large base pan and then like a crease shade and a lid shade. And so there were these 3 looks, but you could also mix and match. I pretty much learned how to do eyeshadow from that stupid little thing. And I had the cardboard one, I panned it. I had another cardboard one and I panned that. So this is like my history. This is like over the past 10 years, starting kind of in my early 20s. And then I got the one that was like Bedroom Eyes or something. It was a more smokier one. It had lighter, I feel like it had lighter kind of lid shades, but then it had a black in it instead of a brown. So it was a little more contrasty and sexy. I had that one, I panned that. And then I had the tin version of the original first one. So I like panned that palette 3.5 times. I actually ended up decluttering the 4th one. That was it though. That was me and eyeshadow for almost a decade. I was like, who needs more than one eyeshadow palette? That was how I felt. And especially me. I was like, I don't need more than one. And I should say, I wore eyeshadow a lot. I wore full eye looks a lot. I dance Argentine tango as a hobby and also sometimes as a job. I teach some and I sometimes perform. But that means that especially in my mid-20s, I was going out dancing at Argentine tango parties almost every night, if not every night of the week for years. So I was putting on this like smoky eye every night. I was tearing through eyeshadow. And still I felt I only needed one palette. And I did only need one palette at the time. I only needed one. I was really happy with it. That's where I was coming from when I started watching YouTube in the fall of 2016, and I started to covet other types of eyeshadow. And then I started to buy more and more and more. So that's kind of my context. I think I've talked enough. Like, what is my problem? Is this what's considered an intro on YouTube? I feel like the camera's been recording for 16 minutes. Just me talking about the video I'm about to film. So I'm gonna need to work on that. I apologize. Let me show you the eyeshadow. I decided I needed color, and for some reason, this is what I ended up with. This is the Urban Decay Moondust palette, and people don't consider this to be a colorful palette. This is considered to be a glitter palette, and I'm not against glitter. In fact, I love glitter. This seemed like a good like 2-in-1 to me because I was getting these glitter shadows and I was getting these colorful shadows. Gosh, I don't even want to. It's a little bit busted. There we go. So, I mean, you've all probably seen this before. This shade down here, Galaxy, the one that's like all crumbly, that's because I've used it a lot. I dig my finger into it. I also love Granite, this dark silver shade, and I love Magnetic, the purple shade, and Lithium. Gosh, Magnetic has like a divot in it. I didn't realize I'd gone in so hard. And then Lithium, which is this kind of gold shade. Ironically, the colorful shades, the green, the blue, and the orange, they're the ones that I don't really use. Like I didn't know what I wanted. I was like the woman in that Robert Hass poem. She didn't know what she wanted. I'll link that down below too, actually, if you haven't read that poem by Robert Hass. The Dinner Party, I think is what it's called. Oh yeah, okay, so it's in this book, Praise. This is a beautiful book of poetry. If you haven't read this, I highly, highly recommend this. Robert Hass is one of our greatest still living poets, and the poem that I was referencing, oh, it's called The Feast. The Feast. I'll link it down below so that you can go read it. It's a good one. Okay, this is the Old Comfort Zone palette. There it is. It's beautiful. So the reason I bought this is that I know that it's kind of a cult item. I just saw it in the drugstore at the end of last year, and I knew they had reformulated. They recently reformulated and sort of restructured the palette, and I quite like the old layout. I like this layout better, even though it doesn't have the transition shades. I wanted to try the old formula because I'd never tried it. I just kind of wanted to know. I snapped it up. It was like finding a unicorn, and I love it. There's a weird thing about this palette, which is that this is an all shimmer palette. So it says crease on these 2 shimmer shades. When I got this, I was like, I'm just gonna do what it says. And I started putting the shimmery shades all up in my crease. And because I have slightly hooded eyes, my crease, I'm always blending it like up onto my upper lid. So I was rocking this like shimmer look. It felt kind of editorial to me, but not unwearably editorial, and that's kind of my jam. I love wearable editorial. I'm grateful to this little palette for introducing me to kind of the risky pleasures of putting a shimmer shadow up in the crease, and I quite like this sort of all shimmer look that I sometimes do with this. Let me know if you want to see it. Okay, so here at the front is another little one. I don't really know why I bought this. I think because I was relatively new. So here's what it is. It's one of these little Smashbox palettes. Here we go. It has this cool like thingy that it does. It's cool. It's okay. It's cool. And then here's what the palette looks like inside. This is the smoky one. And is that what it's called? Smoky Eye palette. Cover Shot, that was the name. That's the name of these. I think that this was sort of just the first time that a green smoky eye occurred to me when these came out and I saw this one. And it doesn't just have this pretty green in it. It also has this gray shadow that's called, it's called Slayer. This like greeny gray color, Slayer. And I find this color very useful. I don't reach for it that often. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I'm glad that I have it. This is something I love. And I have seen this get not the best reviews. I think it was Jessica Braun who was saying that she put it in her like 5 eyeshadow palettes I've given up on or something like that. And I was like, don't give up on my baby. I didn't really have like a luxury neutral palette that was like an upgrade from my Too Faced natural eye palette. I love the packaging of this. It's just so wonderful. I wanted something like this, really high quality. I love Nars Shadows. When I was telling you about my history with eyeshadows, I omitted to mention that supplementary to my Too Faced palette, I did have a couple of those Nars duos. I didn't understand at the time that buying like 2 shadows for whatever it is, 30 bucks or something ridiculously expensive was kind of a stupid deal. And I didn't know what I was doing. Anyway, I did use them. I used the hell out of them and I really loved them. So I have a history with Nars Shadows. Yes. So to me, this has like all the neutrals. It has the shimmers for the lid. It has this really beautiful kind of white gold shimmery. It also has this kind of ashier taupe that's not a warm taupe, and that these days is so hard to find. Why is it so hard to find like a taupey browny gray shadow? Why is everything warm? And I feel like I should just stop. I like a taupe. Moving on, my friends. So here I have 2 little, these are my only 2 singles, like, and this is something I've only gotten into recently. This is like a panic thing that happened at the end of 2017. I knew my no-buy year was coming up, and I was like, I've never really gotten into single shadows. I don't really have a collection of single shadows, and I sort of panic bought all these single shadows within maybe the last 2 months of the year. In this little Z palette here, I've got a bundle from Colourpop. Most of what I have in here are Colourpop shadows, and I love them. It was the Now and Zen, is that the name? The Yin to My Yang bundle. I think Now and Zen is one of the colors. So this across the top right here, barring this one at the end, is the Now and Zen Paper Tiger. This one up here is called Team Captain, and I have Bel Air, and then I have this, I can't remember what this is called, this sort of Hear Me Out, it's just peach. And then the rest of what's in here, these little ones, are the depotted You Had Me at Hello palette. I got like a free Colourpop palette with an order towards the end of last year, and that was the one that I picked, and I depotted and popped it in here. Really like that palette. And then these are both these incredibly glittery shades that they're like glitter life. They are from JD Glow. I saw Rich Lux swatching some of these JD Glow shadows on his channel. He'd gotten sent them in PR, and I like peed my pants and placed an order within the next 5 seconds. I love these shadows, especially for a night look. I kind of want to swatch one for you. I'm going to swatch them both. Okay, so I'm swatching these. These are, oh my god, there's gotta be glitter everywhere, but I love it so much. So here's what they look like. Yes, look at that. And then, oh my god. You see that? I love that. Okay, so the lighter one is called Good God, and the slightly darker one is called Unexpected, and they're both from the Galaxy collection. Oh, and then these other 3 shadows down here are from Makeup Forever. This is something I bought really early on in my kind of getting into, they're great. They're great. I don't know why I bought like this giant red. I don't know what I was thinking, but they're great shadows. I would not declutter them. I'm glad that I have them. So this is my other palette. I bought this little guy on Amazon, this adorable magnetic palette. And in here I've got, what is this? So it's a Colourpop Take Me Home palette that I depotted. That's all along the top. And then there's one little extra that I think that came from You Had Me at Hello that didn't fit in the other one. Moving on. Here is a precious gem to me. I absolutely love this business. So this is the Marc Jacobs Holiday Palette Style Icon number 20. It was not the most recent one, so not the 2017 holiday one, but the 2016 one. When this first came out, I could never have imagined spending this much on an eyeshadow palette. I saw it around, and I saw pictures, I saw reviews, I thought it was beautiful, I thought it was luxurious, I liked the packaging, but to me it was just a no. Like, it was like a no-brainer no. I just would not spend this much on a palette. And I went into the store one day, into Sephora, and I swatched this, and I basically like saw the light of heaven and fell on the floor and blacked out, and when I left the store I had purchased it. It was this shade that did me in. When I say, I don't even have to point to it, you can see it's the one that's like been wrecked. It was this shade. It was this shade. I don't know. Yes. I'll swatch it. Oh, there's something black on there. Disregard that. Beautiful, rich, foiled yellow gold, and it had never occurred to me to even want anything like that. But boy, did I want it, and boy, have I loved having this palette. It's got a lot of cool toned shadows in it. I want to say it was like slightly off trend even, because this was just the absolute roaring height of the warm eyeshadow fad. And it does have these warm shades like down the side right here. This provides a lot of balance for me. Like I'm frequently reaching for this palette for these grays. There's a dark gray, there's this light gray, which is, I just don't have anywhere else in my collection. This also is a very, very, very pale color for like an all over setting, lid setting color. It's not peach, it's like white. And that's another thing that's not anywhere else in my collection, but I really like using that because I'm, if you can't tell, very white. I just think this is beautifully curated. The balance is very good. The shadows, the quality of the shadows, I really, really, really like this palette. My cat's like, she wants to come in. She's sticking her little nose under the door. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't you beautiful? This is my famous cat, Sadie. Okay, moving on. Here's another one that I felt like I needed color. I'll wear color like for a night look, or sometimes part of my job is that I have to model once in a while not once in a while, once a week. I have to like beat my face to the gods and like go up in front of bright lights and model, because I sell clothes that I make for a living. And so once a week I have to model all the clothes so that then I can sell them. I'll sometimes use color for those looks. So I got this palette, you know, it's great, old school. You've seen it, you've heard all about it. If you can get your hands on it, I do recommend it. I know it's out, it's discontinued. I find this very useful. It's a beautiful palette. So I got Modern Renaissance because I just felt like who was I if I didn't have it? I'm okay with this. I do like the shadows. I like the way they perform. I want to say I don't reach for it that often, but then I look at it and it's like busted. Like I've used it a lot. A lot of times when I have a palette and I don't see what I want in it, I'll grab this and I'll find something that works. So it's a nice palette. The infamous Jaclyn Hill palette. So I bought this palette like, okay, first of all, I bought it on the first release. I was like on the Morphe website at 8 a.m. and I was like checking out right when it went live. And inside of my head, I was going, who am I? Why am I doing this? Do I really want this palette? I don't think I do. Am I really going to use it? I don't know why I'm doing this. Do I really want it? And as I was asking myself those questions, I was like continuing to check out. And I was like, $45 with shipping. Is this going to be worth it to me? Do I really want this palette? I don't know why I'm doing it. It's like I didn't have enough time to decide if I wanted it, but I felt the pressure of it selling out really fast, and I just bought it. Why? Like, what is that? But here's the thing. I love it. I'm really glad I got it. I mean, you've all seen it. I'm holding it up. You've all seen it. But there's a really good shot. I like the sort of oily, creamy, it's not even creamy, it's like oily quality of these shadows and the density of the mattes. I think that Jaclyn Hill is really in touch with the kind of quality of shadows that we want. And I think she did a good job. And hopefully Morphe can take what they learned from working with her and move forward to use this information in more of their shadow formulations. Their shadows, speaking of Morphe, so this is the last palette that I have to show you. I have the infamous 35O, which I bought like way back at the beginning of getting into YouTube because it seemed like everyone had it. There are two shades missing because I, at two separate times, in an ill-advised moment, tried to depot these shadows without heat or without anything. These shadows are notoriously difficult to depot from what I can tell from reading up on it. But it seems like it should be easy. Like they're just set in this plastic thingy. It's just the glue is really strong. So I tried to depot this one down here and I broke it and I had to throw it away. And then like 2 months later, I went and tried to depot this one up here. I broke it and had to throw it away. So I'm not going to do that anymore. It's too big, especially when I first got it. I was like, what do I do with this? I was pretty new to more elaborate eye looks, and I was paralyzed by the size of this thing and by how similar so many of the shades are. And as time has gone on and I've gotten better at doing eyeshadow and I've come to understand it a little bit more, I've started to appreciate this palette more, and sometimes I'll reach for it. It's just not very exciting. Like, why would I reach for this when I have like that beautiful NARS palette, or I have like even the Wet n Wild palette with those exciting shimmery shades. I also like the packaging. I just, whatever. I'm glad that I have that. Again, it feels like it's balancing and filling out my collection so that there are no giant gaps in it. I'm not gonna like need X and not have it this year, and part of the reason that is true is because I have that palette. So those are all of my palettes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 2 palettes of single shadows. But I'm gonna call it 9. I'm gonna put the single shadows in a separate category. I'm gonna say I have 9 eyeshadow palettes, and I'm really curious to know how many eyeshadow palettes you have. Even if it's 1, even if it's 100, I would really like to know. If you're watching this, just comment down below the number. Like, just comment 20 or 3 or 0 or whatever. What's your number? Give me a number. Okay, so the last thing I have to do is to go through these just little single floating things that I have. I have 2 of the Natasha Genoa Chroma crystals. I've got crystal top coat, not chroma crystals. I've got nude and gray brown. I quite like these. I find that they're the best for just wearing on their own. So like primer, maybe a bit of glitter glue if you really want to be sure that they don't move, and then this all over the lid and go, and they make beautiful, beautiful looks. I recommend like picking up one of these for that. Over top of other shadow as kind of an accent, not only do these not perform in a very satisfying way in terms of like coverage and color and glitter, but they also then crease on me. I long for a palette of Natasha Genoa eyeshadows. I want the Star palette so badly. That is like makeup goals to me. I just love the look of that palette. And this was sort of like a little compromise. I was able to buy one of these and sort of have that Natasha Genoa luxe experience and feeling in my makeup, but without investing in the Star palette. If I make it through the No by Year, I might buy that thing. I'll get back to you. So I got a measly little 5 Colourpop Super Shock shadows. I kind of just discovered Colourpop. I've been hearing about them this whole time, and finally towards the end of 2017, I was like, all right, I'll try Colourpop. And of course, I love them. Now I've just got this little box of like eyeshadowy single things. I've got 2 of these Giorgio Armani eye tints. One is just a matte. It's in the color, it's the neutral that's on the cooler side. It's like the taupier one. I really like this product. It goes on very easily and liquidy, and you buffs out pretty well. It doesn't become patchy and set and become streaky. And then it sets, and it's pretty crease proof. This is a Stila Glitter and Glow Magnificent Metals. I mean, everyone, you already know, they're beautiful, beautiful, the best way to use glitter. This is Smoky Storm. And then I got this set of minis that has Diamond Dust, Kitten Karma, and Smoky Storm. I love all 3 of them. This is a fantastic product, and I hope I don't use up all 4, like this, the other Smoky Storm, and the other 2 colors before the end of the year, because they are one of my most reached for products right now. I've got 2 Urban Decay Heavy Metals. This is the color Midnight Cowboy, and I got it in a Sephora set, like at the end of 2016. It was the Elaborate Eyes. It wasn't elaborate. It was a Sephora Favorites kit that had all these eye products in it. It was such a beautiful thing. I love using, this is the gold one. I love using this like on the lash line as eyeliner. It really shows, and it's beautiful. And then this is Distortion. It's one of the new ones, and it's like iridescent white glitter. And I like this all over the lid or like on the lash or on like the inner corner. This one is a little bit lower impact than this, so I feel like using it more willy-nilly tends to be what I do. This also came in that like elaborate eyes, that eye kit. It's a little NARS single Himalaya. This is beautiful. This is beautiful, but it's so expensive. Like these, if you buy them individually, they're like ridiculously expensive. Then I have this Urban Decay single Midnight Rodeo. It's really pretty. I've got this little Milk Makeup eye pigment that also came in that same kit. Unlike the Giorgio Armani products, I find that these can become patchy quickly when blending them out. They would work for like a base if you're packing on a base and then like blending other shadows over them. I just find this a little bit difficult to work with. Lounge. This is like the Urban Decay version of MAC Blue Brown Pigment. And this is a single shadow that I'm really, really glad that I have. This is such an effortless and quick eye look. You just pack it on the lid with the finger, blend it up into the crease, and when you blend it out, what blends out is the matte pigment underneath. So when you blend it up into your crease, it's like a gradient form. Yeah, it's not, I mean, you can see what it looks like. That is what it looks like. It's just what you would think. It's a beautiful, beautiful shadow, but this sort of ruddy, warm color ends up being kind of a transition shade. And then if you keep the pigment sort of denser and more packed on the lid, then the lid and the transition end up looking different. And it looks kind of like an eye look that you spent a long time on, even though it's just this one color. Holy bananas. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching this ridiculous video cataloging my eyeshadow collection. I would really like to know how many eyeshadow palettes you have, so please put your number in the comment section down below. If you would like an in-depth review of any of these palettes or shadows, or a tutorial or demonstration with any of these palettes or shadows, please let me know. This is all I have to work with for my YouTube channel in the year of 2018, and I know some of these things are no longer available, or they're maybe not trendy anymore because they're not new, but I am getting to know them all very, very well because this is what I have, and I wear eyeshadow pretty much every day. So I would be happy to dive deeper with any of these products. Just say the word and I will do that for you. If you would like to follow my journey through this no-buy year, please subscribe. And as always, I hope that you're able to take extra good care of yourself and be extra kind to yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world. Sadie's doing a no-buy year too. You see? She's not going to buy any makeup this year. She's just going to use what she has. Sadie? What do you have to say? Talk to the people. This is your moment.